2 months of keto hasn't killed me. It has forced me out of my food habit comfort zone. I'm getting results, but not always the ones that I expected. And I've got the receipts. This video is about those things and how I'm doing my version of keto. Now, I'm not a medical professional of any kind. This is my personal lived experience, and hopefully you'll find some inspiration or ideas that work for you. For me, this journey wasn't about losing a few pounds. It was about fighting a disease, and I'll share more on that soon. I discovered quickly there's only one way to succeed on this kind of a diet, and that's to have a big why. If you don't have a strong reason, don't even bother. I'd like to look better at the beach. Probably not going to be enough unless your life revolves around how people think you look at the beach, and that's okay. The first 30 days were the hardest, and the first 2 weeks were the hardest of the hardest. Changing a lifetime of food habits is no small thing. The most challenging part was getting past the sugar and carb withdrawal. It is a real thing, and I suspect it's what cigarette smokers that quit go through, people with alcohol issues go through. Do not discount that. It's real, and that's the one point I almost quit. Once you get past that, it does get easier. Then there was just adjusting to different foods at different times, and then not eating other things. Like deciding every day not to pull into McDonald's or not to grab the candy bar at the checkout or not to have that beer. Those are all discipline things that are really necessary to succeed in this. I have to credit my wife for making a lot of changes at our home menu. She isn't participating in keto exactly. She makes a lot of her homemade bread and cookies. The fact that she's adjusted our core meals to match what I'm looking for has made a huge difference. Just to make things more interesting, while we were changing food habits, we changed food a lot too. We switched away from processed foods and factory foods to go more natural. Now our eggs come from a local farm where the chickens run around, live their best life. I've seen them out there. The beef in our freezer is from the same farm. The cattle grazed and lived their best antibiotic and hormone-free lives. I even watched them roam around the fields, and that's not weird at all. Now we eat lots of fresh greens and vegetables, organic as much as possible. And we read labels. We avoid anything with processed seed oils. That stuff, bad as it is, seems to be a gateway to a bunch of other stuff that doesn't do anything for your nutrition. So anyway, back to keto. Just as important as new habits was teaching friends and relatives about the journey and why. We have a regular family game night, and the treats come out, and I'm okay with that. I need them to respect my choices, so I'm very careful to respect theirs. This is much easier if your friends, family, the people in your life are at least accepting of the changes that you're making. Now, a couple months in, I'm 4 inches slimmer. Their opinions are changing. I'm getting a few questions about how does this work? But besides the weight loss, I've seen other unexpected benefits. So as I thought through how to share this, I thought different words. What's that one word that kind of encapsulates everything? Having went on online thesaurus and typed in words. And the word I landed on, believe it or not, is younger. I feel younger. It's the best word I could come up with. But what does that even mean, and how do I back that up? I just finished a visit with my primary care physician, and for the first time in I don't know how many years, my CBC blood panels were 100% in normal range. Not one metric was high or low. That was kind of amazing by itself. He also said, according to my BMI index, I'm in a normal range, but I am a little near the higher end. And I don't remember how long that's been. My goal still is to lose a few more pounds and then maintain. My blood pressure without BP meds is consistently in the 110 to 20 over 170, over 110 to, let me try that again, is consistently in the 110 to 120 over 70 to 75 range. Now, I've been on blood pressure meds for years, I'd say a decade or more, with increasing dosages. My primary physician was pretty amazed, especially since I quit those meds a few months ago And frankly, at the time, he wasn't too happy about that. But I bet this was going to work. Overall, I'm down to one prescription drug, and I do feel like I need to take that one. My metabolic age now is 10 years younger than my chronological age. I don't think I'm aging in reverse, probably not, but the Grim Reaper might have to reschedule our eventual meeting. And I've got a great real-life example of what feeling younger actually meant in my real life. Now, keep in mind, I'm in my 60s. Before keto, I started building this deck on the back of my house. For me, it was a really ambitious goal. The work was really physical, digging footings in this clay rock stuff we've got in the Ozarks, moving lumber, cutting boards, screwing things together, doing all the things. And I'm not a carpenter or tradesperson, so this was challenging at a whole bunch of levels. But I was often exhausted after maybe 3 hours or so of work, and that'd be it for the day as far as that project went. One of the last steps to finishing that project was to pour a concrete pad to form the landing for the stairs and then getting the stairs and railings in. So after taking the winter off to deal with health issues and weather, I knocked this out with a friend last week. We had to dig a 3-foot by 4-foot area, and it ended up taking 26 bags of concrete to fill that up. So I had to load the concrete in the car at the hardware store, unload it at home, haul it to the backyard, dump it in the cement mixer, pour it into the forms, and so on. It was really hard physical work. After all that, my wife and I went out with some friends for dinner. And halfway through the evening, I realized, I'm fine. Even more surprising, the next morning, I was up and about with no aches or pains. And that's what my much younger self used to do when I had a physically demanding project to do. So medically, I'm demonstrably healthier. A lot of aches and pains, especially around the joints that I attributed to age, have simply gone away, and my capacity for activity is higher. Now, your mileage may vary, but that's my personal experience. Mentally, my mind is also quieter, less shiny object syndrome. Now, it's hard to tell if that's keto or has switched away from processed and dyed foods. And if you're interested in managing what goes in your body, looking into processed and dyed foods will really pay off. There are some downsides. Discipline gets easier, but those temptations never go away. I really like sugar cookies. There's sometimes sugar cookies in the house, but I don't eat sugar cookies. Now, my wife thinks I look gaunt because my face is thinner. I've lost about 10% of my pre-diet body weight, but maybe my skin will tighten up as well. We'll see. Time will tell. But if I have to choose, let me try that again. But if I have to choose between feeling good and looking good, I'll take feeling good. I think there was a Saturday Night Live skit about that back in the day. I'm not sure. What does my keto diet look like? So when I started researching keto, I found there wasn't a one-size-fits-all, and I don't think there should be. And that's where those self-appointed experts with no credentials that are mostly selling things come in. Again, here I'm just sharing my lived experience in the hope that it helps someone, hopefully you. The shared agreement on keto seems to be low or no carbs or sugar, high fat, high protein, no snacking, and some version of intermittent fasting. Now, how radically to follow those tenets is the debatable part. So, kind of like religion, I felt like I had to pick a flavor. And after watching tons of videos on keto, I landed on one particular person to follow. Her name's Dr. Boz or Dr. Bosworth. I picked her because, number one, she's a practicing primary care physician. She prescribes this diet to many of her patients. She lives this keto life with all of its ups and downs. And maybe most importantly for me, her original big why resonated with mine. It was her mom had cancer and she was looking for ways to slow it down. So that meant a lot to me. Not surprisingly, she has a big YouTube channel about keto. She has books and helps. And I've got a link in the description. She has what I would call a continuum, starting with beginner, which is basically just cutting carbs and sugar. The beginner or basic is a great foot in the door. It's the first level of discipline, and anybody without a strong why is going to drop out there. I landed in about the middle. I eat 2 meals a day, breakfast and dinner, about 8 hours apart, no snacking between meals. and I avoid carbs and sugars to the degree it's reasonably possible. Condiments, sauces, and so on all seem to contain some level of sugar and carbs, so I keep those to a minimum, but I love my sauces, especially barbecue sauce. No fast food, zero, none, ever. I'll skip a meal if that's the only choice. When we eat out, I find meals as close to keto as possible, and I'm not shy about asking for substitutes. But I don't turn into Dietzilla with the server. We do our best, and we get through that just fine. Breakfast pretty much every day is 2 pieces of bacon or sausage, half an avocado, 2 of those farm fresh eggs like I talked about, mixed in with various cheeses, sweet peppers, broccoli, related veggies, and so on. Cup of coffee. Dinner is usually protein, beef or fish, with veggies in a salad. Sometimes fake pasta or rice made from cauliflower is included as well. A couple extras I regularly put into my diet are blueberries. Blueberries are a superfood. They're anti-inflammatory, and I sometimes mix those in with a small cup of plain yogurt. Then there's turmeric, also anti-inflammatory and a superfood. It goes with my eggs in the morning and my protein in the evening, and I sometimes cut some raw turmeric into that yogurt that I talked about. Since my fight is with cancer, which is among other things an inflammation caused by cells gone wild, I look for anti-inflammatory foods like these, and I avoid inflammatory foods like those highly processed foods that I mentioned. I do follow doctor's orders on treatments like the proton therapy I recently completed. But my mantra, if you take nothing else from this video, is food is medicine. Good food is good medicine. Bad food is bad medicine. And when I get discouraged, I keep that in mind. Good food is good medicine. Bad food is bad medicine. I love Doritos, but our toxic relationship is over. Frankly, when I walk down the snack aisle at the grocery store, I see shelf after shelf of poison. And it makes saying no a whole lot easier. And if you start to read labels and learn what those unpronounceable words mean, you might come to that same conclusion. For example, and I'm not sure how to pronounce this, Tenebrio molitor is actually whole or ground mealworm. And you can find that in some foods. I recently visited my oncologist, my radiation oncologist, and I'm asymptomatic now. This is the second time I've had this type of cancer, so the battle continues. I really hope you find some value in what I'm doing. I'm doing me. I hope you unapologetically do you. Thanks for watching. I really do appreciate it.